All right, guys, how are we doing today?
Good.
Yeah. So, this is the next evolution version of our little round table, and what we all did when everything kind of went to hell in a handbasket a month ago, when the government shut all our gyms down, is a bunch of us got together and created this little gym support group. So, this is Lisa from the Hub in High River, and this is Colin. So, guys, tell us a bit about yourself. Lisa, how about you? Ladies first.
All right, so thanks. I'm Lisa Szabon-Smith, and I'm running out of time. We'll see what happens here. Sorry. I'm from High River, Alberta, and I own the Hub PT, which is a more so functional style training, free weights galore. And yeah, we work with Olympic weightlifters, powerlifters, a whole bunch of different sports teams, and great group of people within our community.
Cool. Colin, how about you?
All right. Well, I'm Colin Dewolfe, and I'm part owner or one of the owners of Back Alley Fitness in Medicine Hat. Our facility would be a kind of more of a traditional strength training facility or a fitness facility where we also operate classes, but have a heavy focus on tried and true training methodologies. So.
Cool. So, what I wanted to ask you guys is, because you were both high-level athletes, I just want to know a few questions about that. I'm sure my little group does too. So, what was the most valuable lesson you learned in sports? Lisa, ladies first.
Oh boy. Oh, perspective. Probably perspective was the most valuable. If you walked in thinking you already lost. And then realizing that a good day, a bad day doesn't actually determine your worth. It just determines the amount of effort that was put in or the circumstances that were placed in front of you. And then definitely the hard work pays off, and patience and grace. Lots and lots of grace was learned for me.
That's a pretty cool one. Colin, how about you?
I would say persistence. As a fighter, you have to show up and you have to work hard every single session. And it's not always fun when someone's punching you in the face. So being persistent and standing there and not turning and, taking the easy way out is probably one of the hardest things you can do in life, is to just, whatever is smacking you in the face, stand there and you have to move forward, right? Yeah. So persistence.
A Rocky quote.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get it. Keep moving forward. Yeah. Cool. So before we go any further, why don't you guys tell us about your sports?
Oh, yes. I competed in bobsleigh. Before then, I played every single sport growing up and swam and played volleyball for state.
Cool.
For me, my primary sport was, it's kind of an archaic sport called Sanda or Sanshao. It's full contact kickboxing with essentially judo or Russian sambo thrown in. So it's kind of like stand-up MMA, where you punch and kick and slam each other to the ground as hard as possible. So it was fun and challenging.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So a follow-up to that one was, what is the most valuable lesson you learned since you left your sport?
Patience. Oh man, for me it was when I left my sport, I went back to what my original education was, which was graphic design. And I learned that I am not an office chairperson, and I really like control for myself and my future, and being able to make my own decisions and not have them made for me by bosses or other people. Because bobsleigh was a lot of you had your head people, but I was a pilot, so I was driving. I was literally in the driver's seat. I was the one making the choices and the decisions as we went forward. And then definitely patience just for outcomes, and going into owning my own business. I mean, you have that amazing cash sheet that you show off to the bank to get support, and It's totally not like that when you actually start your business and you realize you have to be patient in the process and practice patience so that the people around you actually understand and see the value of that as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's learning patience right now.
Yeah.
Colin, how about you?
For me, I learned that you cannot define yourself by any one thing. I found as an athlete, my self-image and a lot of what I did was surrounded by that. And it determined a lot of the decisions I made in life. Since leaving sport in that capacity, it was different to shift gears where you are not this thing anymore. You are something else. So defining yourself by one thing in life, I think is kind of like you back yourself into a corner of who you can be or who you present yourself to be. So people are diverse and they have a lot of different feelings and a lot of different interests. So I've learned since then to be a man of many things, not one thing. So that's my thing that I learned the hard way.
Man. Okay. What is one thing you teach all your clients when you work with them?
Oddly enough, patience.
Yeah.
Really, really trying to teach them to trust the process, and that while my plan might not look like the plan they're looking for, it is the best plan for them. But beyond that, in more like a really, really small micro situation, it would be more so learning how to hold your posture, your spine, proper breath work, proper core, resetting the foundations, finding your grounding into the ground through the foot, and starting from there and trying to work outside of that. And even if they come in as the top athlete, we still go and reset back to that beginning foundational breath work and grounding, because it's usually the key lead to any chronic issue that we find as we move into their training programs for them.
Cool. Colin?
Mine's a lot similar. I try and teach people to look farther into the future than what they currently are. I find a lot of people with their goals, it's an immediate 2-month window that they have for themselves or something like that. And they lose sight of the big picture and what that means long term, right? Not that someone shouldn't have short-term goals, but I feel like very short-term goals can be consuming for a period and lead you into areas that you don't necessarily want to be, right? So it's kind of like you need to know what city you want to end up in, and not just what street you're on right now, is kind of the way I look at that, right? I find, especially with strength athletes, they're so focused on more on the bar that taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, like if they don't do that, they end up hurt. And then they're out of what they're doing very quickly. So the big picture is important. And that counts for weight loss, fat loss, whatever, right? If you're looking at this week or next week or tomorrow, rather than 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, maintenance after that, that big picture is important, right?
Yeah.
Rather than chasing the immediate thing that's in front of you. So
overestimate what you can do in 2 months and underestimate what you can do in a year.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is always one of my fun questions is, what is one question you wished everyone would ask you, but people rarely do, and then answer it?
And then answer it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't pass.
All right. Colin?
I guess for me, an interesting question would be, what do people call you? It depends. So my wife and her family has owned a karate club for a long time, and my background is martial arts. However, I've never done karate. So when I go do karate, I am known as the Great White Ninja. I stole that from Chris Farley. But no, I am the white belt that beats up black belts in karate. It's fun. It's hilarious because I have a very different movement style than them. So they don't necessarily know how to anticipate what I do. So That's a fun little question. I am known as the Great White Ninja down here. So.
That's awesome. Gosh, I feel like I'm an open book. What I can't answer this. I'm sorry.
Hey. All right. Well, last question. Speaking of books, what is one book you wish everyone would read?
Okay, so for me, Driven by Lawrence Noria. It's above my head, so it makes it easy. It's more on like neurology or like psychology and everything, and the habits that shape our decisions for most all of mankind. And then recently I read The Body, which is like, I think it's the complete guide for its host or something like that by, oh gosh, now it escapes me, but he's actually like a humor or author rather than a science author. But he made this book about all the things that the human body does actually interesting to read, because he just like covered surface level, put humor in it, and it was great.
That's good. Cool. Colin,
for me, because I spend so much time reading articles and stuff like that in relation to what I do, I try to read things that are not anything about that. So my recommendation would be The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a nice little book. It was an easy read, but kind of gives you a little perspective of what to put your effort into and what not to. I guess you would say, right? Like if you worry too much about what other people think or say, you get led astray, would be the simple thing there. So
yeah, good. I read it.
Yeah.
I've ordered Driven. Of course, it hasn't shown up yet.
Right? Well, I mean, it's an older publication too, so it's not as top of mind.
Yeah. Cool. Other than that, guys, thanks for this. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll catch you later.
Yep.